Hi, I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. My partner, Kristen Oaks-White, is off this week. Another twist this week in the feral hog situation. Last week we told you that Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry, Dr. Mike Strain, indefinitely suspended the sale of the hog bait kaput. That suspension was based on the possibility that it might adversely affect the Louisiana black bear because the feeders used to distribute the poison were easily accessible by other forms of wildlife. This week, the company that makes kaput, Symmetrics, withdrew their registration for kaput in Texas. The move comes after several lawsuits filed against the product based on its effect on wildlife. While the company has not yet pulled it in other states, it may not be long. However, there is some hope. A new type of feeder is being tested at LSU that would only distribute poisoned bait through technology that recognizes feral hogs through their voice. According to Commissioner Strain, this oink recognition technology could usher the return of kaput if it proves to just target pigs.
We're going to be looking at some new type of feeders that have voice recognition technology. It can tell the difference between a pig and a bear. We're going to look at that. And also any other types of feeding systems that can be designed where only pigs can get into it, the bear cannot get into it, and we don't have off-target species.
Strain says alternatives to toxicants were also being considered, including a herpes-like virus that would only target hogs.
LSU is doing one where they're looking at using a virus, and that virus would then be put in basically into lice and mites and other types of creatures, probably lice, that would then be infected onto the feral pigs and would spread pig to pig. And that particular virus hopefully will make that pig sterile or have another effect to eliminate just that species.
Again, the reason this issue is so important is that it is a growing threat to people, agriculture, and wildlife in general. For ag, it's $40 to $60 million a year in crop yields lost. For people, hogs carry diseases and present a threat to life and limb. Need proof? We're going to put a link on our website to a story about feral hogs killing 3 ISIS fighters in Syria, despite the fact that they were armed. The same thing could happen in suburbs where hogs are roaming. And finally, while poisons present a problem, if left unchecked, the hogs will hurt other wildlife, including the black bear. So doing nothing is not an option. In fact, you have to kill off 70% of the population just to keep growth where it is, to keep the population numbers where they are right now. We'll keep following this story as it progresses. In the meantime, you can find the latest on our website, twilatv.org. According to the USDA, the price of beef is up a few cents at the grocery store this month. That 3-cent increase is good for ranchers. The farmers who produce the meat you find in the grocery store depend heavily on research that comes from universities. When Louisiana farmers and ranchers toured the state of Arkansas, many of their stops were at facilities where that research happens. TWILA's Carl Wiggers takes us to the University of Arkansas to show how their Animal Science Department and Extension Service is working to improve the beef industry.
Here at the University of Arkansas, the Animal Science Department is laser focused on serving the farmers and consumers of Arkansas.
From when the calf is born all the way up to consumer preference of that meat product.
Mike Looper is the department head of the Animal Science program at the University of Arkansas. During this stop on the beef tour, he explained all of the people it takes to make their livestock and forage programs so successful.
We have nutritionists, we have geneticists, animal health experts, veterinarians, all the way up to meat scientists. And we work with our Department of Food Science here at the University of Arkansas as well, trying to ultimately understand what best management practices on the farm culminate in that beef product or that meat product that consumers want to purchase.
Having all these experts from different fields working together gives this team an advantage. Louisiana Farm Bureau Livestock Committee member Amelia Kent says this offers great benefits to the farmers of Arkansas.
It's really great to see, for instance, at this research station that we're at, not only the cattle research, but also the agronomy research and the horticultural research all in the same place. And so when you do have those areas of overlap, whether it's soil texture and soil qualities, nutrient levels, pH and whatnot, how not only can that be beneficial to seed crop growers further north and in other parts of the state, but also come back and be beneficial to cattle producers in the cattle regions of the state, and that's great to see.
The Department of Animal Science has 3 areas of focus. They research issues and practices that will benefit the cattle producers in their state, extension, which takes the findings of that research and puts it in the hands of the farmers, and then education.
The other thing that I think we do that's equally important is train the next generation of extension personnel, veterinarians, research scientists, health professionals, allied industry partners, and that's our students.
Some of those students will hopefully wind up back on the family farm, either as the farmer or the extension agent. At least that's what Louisiana cattleman Hank Schumacher would like to see.
These people obviously are very concerned, very involved with the farmers, the day-to-day farmers, not the academics as much as, to learn things, to experiment, you need to get the farmers, true farmers, involved in trying to do different things.
Looper's department does a lot of different things to help the farmers in their production practices, but he says that most of his research centers on making sure the livestock is healthy.
A healthy animal is going to be a very efficient animal, and the profitability of that farm depends, or that ranch depends on the efficiency of that animal. So ultimately that animal has to be of the utmost health.
Today's researchers and farmers are better equipped than ever to make their livestock more efficient, and that's exactly what Looper is looking to improve on now.
It's not your grandpa's farm these days. I mean, there's some technology that's involved, and so ultimately, how do you squeeze out every possible dollar on the farm or the ranch?
Looper says he looks forward to improving the livestock and forage systems across the state. They're also working hard to make sure that the beef production in Arkansas is as efficient as possible, which will help the farmers and ranchers put better food on our tables in the future. And Avery, a lot of these stops had a lot of research involved in them, and one of the neatest stops to me was at the Tyson Discovery Center. It was up in Springdale, Arkansas, and they do a lot of research and a lot of very impressive stuff that we get to benefit from every day. We just don't realize it sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that you have to research the cuts of beef, cuts of chicken, and that sort of thing. But one of the things you told me about off camera was about how they have all these kitchens set up there. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, for every major contract they have a kitchen set up with the same equipment that they use at those restaurants. So like for a Wendy's, when they do chicken strips or chicken products, they have the fryers that they use, everything they use to cook that stuff at Wendy's, they have those there in Springdale at the Discovery Center, so they can make sure that it will all translate when it gets back to the restaurants. It's just a really impressive facility.
I understand that someone else was a little impressed with it.
Louisiana Farm Bureau President Ronnie Anderson was very impressed by this stop and the trip and how important it is to kind of bring everything full circle.
I tell you what's most impressive is the variety of things that they do, the different products they have, both beef, pork, and poultry, and it's amazing to see how many people are working to move a product from a raw product to an idea to how to batter and do all the stuff that they need to do, how to cook it, and the final taste test and stuff. It's really amazing. It's an interesting facility.
I'm not surprised that Ronnie would be so impressed by it. I mean, going to Amarillo, Texas a few years ago and seeing the Tyson plant there, I think about it anytime I go to a Wendy's. And that's because they provide all of the hamburger meat to every Wendy's in North America.
And one of the other things about Mr. Ronnie, he's been doing this for so long, but even he was impressed by, what's involved in the process.
And he knows all forms of agriculture, so I know you enjoyed that trip. Thank you very much, Carl Wagers. You can tell AJ has an envie for tomatoes. He has yet another great story about them this week. Folks who meet Beauregard Parish vegetable farmer Sarah Doherty come away with 2 things: the freshest homegrown tomatoes and a story you won't soon forget. Affectionately known as the Tomato Lady, Doherty got her start with 40 tomato plants. As TWILA's AJ Sabine shows us, she now manages more than 7 produce stands, including one in Texas.
Tomato Lady, aka Sarah Doherty, says she got into growing tomatoes 15 years ago to teach her then teenage grandchildren how to work. Nowadays, Doherty manages more than 7 produce stands around her 300-acre farm south of DeRidder.
My main focus is quality, not quantity, but quality. However, God is good, and God grows them. I just manage them.
Manage them is an understatement. Doherty, who first planted 400 plants more than a decade ago, now manages more than 20,000 plants per year.
Everything by seed, about 20,000 seeds a year. And I have people that come out and want to buy plants, and in the early spring. And here's my philosophy. I grow about 20,000 plants. Of that 20,000, about 80% germinate. And of that 80%, people come and they buy plants. And I also do a sale down in Lake Charles at Burton Coliseum. And what I have left over, I stick in the ground.
As you can imagine, the fertile ground of her tomato patch is home to several varieties, such as Celebrity.
That I try out different varieties all the time. And when I come across the Dream Girl, when I started putting the fruit out into the stands, my ladies would come back and say, I don't know what kind of tomatoes those are, but your customers are loving them. I went, okay, so I started growing more Dream Girls, and it became my basic crop, is Dream Girls.
Along with her tomatoes, Doherty has partnered with other area produce growers to supply fresh-picked fruits and vegetables such as eggplant and watermelons.
I deal with watermelon farmers who know what they're doing. I've been there, I watch them check that curl. If it's not right, they step over that melon and go to the next one. It's all in quality. You understand? Yes, it's the same with our tomatoes. When we go through the field, we're not just picking tomatoes. We're picking the ripe ones. Right. And if it's not ripe enough, you skip over it, because after we go through the field, then we start all over again.
That focus on quality has propelled the Tomato Lady to uncommon success. In Beauregard Parish, I'm A.J. Sabine for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
Still to come on TWILA, I am hungry for some chicken fried steak, which may not be news, but it's not fake news, I promise you that. We go feasting on agriculture again in Lake Charles. Stay with us.
I now hope they're fighting today.
I hope they are.
Find your place in the country and the lender who can get you there. Find Louisiana Land Bank. Financing for country homes, recreational property, farms and ranches, and agribusiness.
Before you sweeten your morning joe, before the icing on the cake, before the sugar hits the shelf. It begins with a family of sugarcane farmers dedicated to growing Louisiana for more than 220 years. The Sugarcane Growers of Louisiana, making life sweeter, naturally.
Sugarcane, sweet sugarcane.
Feasting on Agriculture with A.J. Sabine is brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
Hey there, folks. I'm A.J. Sabine, and welcome to another exciting Feasting on Agriculture. I'm here in Lake Charles, and I have a question for you. What do you get when you combine a beautiful lake city, a protege of the great Thomas Keller of the French Laundry, and farm to table? You get Restaurant Cala. Joining us now is Chef David Sorrells of Restaurant Cala. Thank you so much for having us. What are we cooking today?
We are cooking a 44 Farms chicken fried steak with local green beans and some mashed potatoes. We're also covering the chicken fried steak with a crawfish and black pepper gravy.
I cannot wait. That sounds wonderful. Let's get started.
You bet. So I've done a couple things already. In this pot, this is going to be our gravy. All right, so what I've done is I've actually taken a shellfish stock and I've reduced it almost down to a syrup. I've added milk. The milk we also get locally from Hillcrest Creamery right here in D. Ritter, Louisiana.
Really?
So I'm going to heat this up. And basically, like I said, it's almost there. I've also made a...
No, what is this?
This is a beurre monnaie.
What is that? Explain it to me. I don't even know what that is.
So a beurre monnaie is basically an uncooked roux.
Okay.
All right, so what we're done is equal parts flour and sugar, and it's very pliable, as you can see. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to add enough to this milk mixture to get the consistency I want.
So like a thickener, right?
Exactly. It's going to thicken it up, and just like anything else, you know, you want it to come back up to a boil to get its full thickening power.
You know, Chef, you mentioned about that you got the dairy from a farmer here nearby in DeRidder. Why is that so important to your restaurant to have those fresh ingredients created by a local farmer?
I think for several reasons. I think one of the main reasons is it shows that we support our community. On the other hand, it's got to be good. And so there's a lot of terroir that takes place. There's a lot of, you know, I can go to the store and buy milk, and it tastes great. I love milk. But when I buy this milk from DeRidder, it actually has a grassy taste to it. And I don't know if that's just because that's out what the cows eat and it's local, but it makes me feel better supporting people that live here in this area.
Now, I know that you're a protege of the great chef Thomas Keller of the French Laundry out of California. What are some of those lessons about farm to table that he taught you while you worked there?
Well, we were very fortunate in Napa at the French Laundry. We had our own farm, and we got to grow and plant and do a lot of those things.
How have people received your cuisine here in Lake Charles?
I think very well. We do a lot of different things. My background is obviously fine dining, but you know, as I've gotten older, I've realized that it doesn't matter what your background is. There's an emotional connection with cooking. There's we all have chefs call them vices, and they're not vices. One of mine is Whataburger. I can't pass one up. So we call them vices, but it's because it sparks that emotional memory, and that's what food's about. So more so than what we do and what we cook, I'm confident in what we do here. My team is incredible. What we try to really preach is sit down, fellowship, because that's going to create memories. And that's what being around the table is really about. So here I've got the sauce thickened where we need it, and I'm going to go ahead and add quite a bit of black pepper. This is fresh telecherries, so we're going to just grind a bunch in, and then we're going to add Louisiana crawfish.
Great.
One of the best ingredients here, and especially here in Cajun country, is rice and crawfish.
I'm very well acquainted with many rice farmers and many crawfish producers, particularly here in Calcasieu Parish. So
I'm going to start the green beans.
Okay.
Basically, we do have back here some mashed potatoes that we kind of made ahead of time. We really like to put a lot of butter in ours, so I just wanted to make sure they weren't going to break.
Oh, I'm on the butter train. Matter of fact, I'm driving the butter train.
We're just going to put a little bit of really thinly sliced bacon in here, and I just want to, basically that's just going to add some flavor to the green beans. The green beans are local. They're actually from M&M Ranch here in Moss Bluff. Stacy Mack is one of the farmers there, and we buy several things from her every week.
So once you render the bacon, what's next?
So I'm going to just add the green beans. What we've done is this is a good example of, obviously our local green beans, which are nice and plump and firm and very beautiful. What I've done is I've already blanched them off. So I brought a big pot of salted water to a boil. So I'm just going to add these green beans. Like I said, they're already really al dente where I want them. And we're just going to finish this in a pan. At this time, I'm going to also start my chicken fried steak. Just like any other steak, we're going to season this just a little bit. I've got seasoning in every, I'm a big proponent of seasoning everything.
That's a beautiful piece of meat.
It is. Like I said, I don't want to lie about the numbers, but something about 44 Farms and the cattle that they take to the feedlots, I want to say 70% of their cattle grade prime. And we're just going to dredge the steak in there first, make sure we get it good and coated. We're going to do a little double dipping.
Okay.
So we're going to go back.
You won't hear me complain about that.
We'll get a good coat on this steak.
And you've already got your cast iron skillet.
I do. I've got it. It's around 350 degrees.
And that's my thing. I have a huge, I'm a big fan of cast iron. On every one of these segments, I talk to chefs about why they favor cast iron, and they all say the same thing. I mean, it holds the heat well, cooks evenly, and they last forever.
That's right.
All right, folks. Chef David said these green beans are almost done. When we get back, I'll show you how this beautiful chicken fried steak dish comes together. Stick around. We'll be right back. All right, folks, we're out of the kitchen and in the dining room of Restaurant Cala. Chef David Sorrells.
Sorrells?
This looks marvelous.
Thank you.
Tell us what. Tell folks again. Remind us what all went into this great recipe.
So we used a great piece of meat from 44 Farms in Cameron, Texas. We used their cutlet. So we did a chicken fried steak. We topped that with a crawfish and black pepper gravy. We did mashed potatoes with a special recipe that's got a lot of butter in it. You'll taste it, and then a local green bean, and basically just added some bacon to that. So it's very much a home-style comfort food dish.
Speaking of comfort, you forgot something. The pillow, because I'm gonna need a nap after this.
Yes, we've got them right behind you.
And as the French would say, you've got a great accoutrement.
That's right.
Shazam! What is that?
That's this year we do a lot with our drinks as well, that very seasonal. And so this is our eggnog. Absolutely, it's got American honey in it, egg, cream, all the good stuff.
All right, well, you know what, Chef, and folks at home or in the internet, wherever you are, this is my favorite part of the Feasting on Agriculture segment. I'm gonna dive right into this beautiful crawfish. And I like how you got it on a cutting board.
That's right.
How apropos.
Right.
See a French Laundry, French.
Uh-huh.
Pick up what I'm putting down?
I see what you did there.
Okay.
Awesome.
That is amazing. So good. And I get to wash that chicken fried steak down with this eggnog?
That's right.
Okay. All right, folks, if I pass out, you know that's a really mighty potent eggnog. Oh. This is fantastic.
It's good stuff, isn't it?
Can I just sip on this?
You can have all of it. Absolutely.
Oh, man, this is great. Well, Chef David, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Restaurant Cala. Absolutely amazing. Folks at home, if you want more information about Chef David or Restaurant Cala or Louisiana beef or Louisiana crawfish, you can always log on to our website at twilatv.org. That's all from here, folks. Thanks again, Chef. We'll see you next time.
Feasting on Agriculture with A.J. Sabine was brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, Ask Before You Eat, by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, Think Rice, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
In this week's Trending on TWILA segment, we take you online to see what people are posting about agriculture on social media. Every day is Earth Day for a farmer. April 22nd was Earth Day, and agriculture groups across the country celebrated by informing people on social media that farmers take care of the earth every day. The American Farm Bureau Federation tweeted a series of photos and infographics reminding their followers that GMOs and modern ag techniques allow farmers to preserve the land while doing more with fewer resources. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association posted an article from the Wall Street Journal stating that raising beef is actually good for the planet because cattle are helping to fight climate change. The Kansas Department of Ag shared this photo on Facebook saying, "The preservation of land to feed future generations is of utmost importance to farmers." America's Farmers posted that Earth Day is every day, especially on America's farms. Farmers are stewards of the land and the environment. These posts are a great way to remind consumers that farmers and ranchers are constantly working to improve the environment by using new technology and best management practices. We end this trending segment with an inspiring story from Reader's Digest about an 83-year-old woman who runs a 210-acre farm in Indiana. Shirley Gray raises beef cattle, corn, soybeans, and hay, and still manages the day-to-day chores that come with managing a farm. Shirley says she's lived on this farm for 64 years, and she has no plans of retiring anytime soon. What a great story. To read the full story, just head over to our website at twilatv.org. Now moving on to this week's TWILA Trivia. Last week our question was, which man is considered the father of modern agriculture? And the correct answer is A, Cyrus McCormick. This week's trivia question is, on average, what is the approximate daily water use of each household in America? Is it A, 50 gallons, B, 300 gallons, or C, 500 gallons? To enter this week's trending trivia contest, simply log on to your Facebook or Twitter account and post your answer with the hashtag TWILATrivia, or you can always submit your answer on our website at twilatv.org. That does it for this edition of TWILA. Please join us again next week when we will take a look at where grocery store prices are and where they might be going. You might like what you're going to hear. In the meantime, you can watch all of our stories online, check them out, a few extras over on Facebook, Twitter, and we even have stories on Snapchat. Carl Wiggers really likes to shoot those. For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for watching. We hope to see you again right here next week.